What up, YouTube? T-Movies here. Here is my Throwback segment where I talk about the films that turned 10 and 20 this week. Alright, the films that turned, not really a lot of great ones that turned 10 to 20, to be honest, yeah. But anyway, the films that turned 10, we got Cats and Dogs, Revenge of Kitty Galore. I'm not joking, we actually got a third Cats and Dogs movie coming to straight to DVD. So, yeah, the first Cats and Dogs that had Jeff Goldblum, Tobey Maguire. The first Cats and Dogs, I always got kicked out. It's a bit of a guilty pleasure. It's very dumb, but it's pretty cheesy. It's entertaining, but about 11 years after they decided to go ahead and do a sequel to Cats and Dogs, titled Revenge of Kitty Galore, which it was directed by Brad Payton, who also went on to direct the recent Rampage film. It had a pretty interesting cast list. You had the likes of Neil Patrick Harris, Sean Hayes was in this. You had Roger Moore, Bette Miller, some really good cast members. You even had Michael Clarke Duncan was also in this. Revenge of Kitty Galore is a pretty horrible film. It's not at all funny. It's worse. It's a really bad one. The first film is much better, but the sequel did not succeed at all. And I can't imagine the third one is even going to be any good. So, yeah. Alright. Also turning 10, we got the Zac Efron film Charlie St. Cloud, which I thought was pretty decent. It was directed by Bert Steers, who also gave us the other Zac Efron film, 17 again. He did that movie, Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, which was pretty decent. Now, for you guys who don't really know much about the story of this, adored by his single mother and his little brother, Charlie St. Cloud, played by Zac Efron, is a sailor, a college-bound senior with a bright young future ahead of him, but his brother Sam ends up dying in a terrible accident, and so Charlie ends up dreaming, pretty much dreaming that in an hour before each sunset, Charlie and Sam, you should play catch. And so it's a pretty interesting flick. I mean, it had Zac Efron in it, who I thought was pretty decent. You had Kim Basinger, you had Amanda Crew was in this film. I know it was okay. It wasn't great or anything, but Zac Efron really showed some promises in this. Alright, also turning 10, we got the comedy Dinner for Schmucks. Now, it was not so good at all. I mean, this was a comedy that retained a 4-year version, and Anchorman co-stars Paul Rudd and Steve Carell. You also had the likes of Zach Galifianakis. Jeff Dunham was also in this one. You also had Bruce Greenwood. Some really good cast members. But man, this movie just wasn't at all funny. You got Paul Rudd, who portrays Tim, who's this rising executive who works for a boss who hosts a monthly event in which the guests who bring the biggest buffoon gets a career boost. And so he ends up declining the invitation at first, but he ends up changing his mind when he meets this guy named Barry, played by Steve Carell, a man who builds dioramas using stuffed mice, and so this game ends up backfiring when Barry's blubbering good intentions send Tim's life into a downward spiral. I mean, we got a pretty good cast list in this. I mean, Zach Galifianakis is pretty decent. I didn't really thought this movie was funny at all. It was pretty cool to see Steve Carell and Paul Rudd reunite once again, because they were great in 4-year version. They were great in Anchorman, and they were also in Anchorman 2 together. So those two play off each other really well. Sad to say, this wasn't one of them. It was painful to watch. I did not laugh that much. It was pretty cool seeing Jeff Dunham in something, but yeah, this was not so good at all. I mean, the reviews for this got some positive buzz, but I'm one of the few folks who did not care for it that much. Alright, also turning 20, we got, now film turning 20 this week, we got Night Professor to the Clumps. Now, the original Night Professor starring Eddie Murphy as Professor Sherman Clumps, as well as Buddy Love. The original Night Professor, which is of course a remake of a Jerry Lewis comic. I love the original Night Professor. It's really funny. Who remembers the Dave Chappelle scene? Come on. That was actually Dave Chappelle's first feature. So they, a couple years after, they ended up doing a sequel to it. And oh my god, the sequel is not so funny at all. It's, you ended up replacing J. Pinkett Smith with Janet Jackson, which I adore Janet Jackson, but to be honest, her music is great, but her acting's not always top notch. So yeah, although she was pretty good in Poetic Justice, that I'll give it to her. But this was not so much funny. I mean, he once again had Eddie Murphy return as Buddy Love and Sherman Clumps, as well as the other cast of characters. Before Tyler Perry made it cool to dress as a female, we had Eddie Murphy with the Night Professor, because he also dressed up. He ended up playing his mother and grandmother in this film, which I thought was pretty fun to watch. Eddie Murphy ended up donning a fat suit for both films. But the Clumps they're all actually people who quite like the Clumps, believe it or not. But I'm one of them who did not care for him much. I love Eddie Murphy. I love the original Night Professor, but yeah. Anyway, let me leave you guys. Which of these films stand out to you the most? To be honest, it's 10 years one. It's not really anything there stands out to me the most. Charlie St. Cloud was okay, but it wasn't, that great. There for Schmucks wasn't so great. So kind of a weak, week for films 10 years and 20 years. But anyway, drop comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell for more notifications. This here's Tim Movie signing out.